Hi everyone, my name is Sean. I'm a good friend of Zach's, back from our old Texas State days. I met him back in probably around 2011. Went to a local comic book shop and we kind of met there and hung out. Had similar interests with what we collected. But today he's asked me to do a short video on a recent deal that we've done. If he wants to give the details of it, he can give you the details of what's going on with that. But he wanted us to talk about this Ultimate Fallout 9.6 CGC, the first appearance of the new Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Um, so a little bit about me first, though. I collect comics, toys, video games, hot toys, statues, but I've been collecting comics for about 7 years now, and it's less about the book and more about the hunt for me and where it's coming from and where I found it. That makes it that much more valuable to me when I do pick things up. I like going to small comic book shops around Texas and other states when I have the chance. This particular book was found in Port Arthur, Texas, which is a small town about 3 hours away east of Houston. And I was out there because my wife and her family live in another city about 15 minutes away from there called Bridge City. And this little comic book shop, All Star Comics, it was the only comic book shop closer to where they live without having to go to Beaumont. But basically, All Star Comics is like just a small comic book shop there in Port Arthur. Good selection of new comics, toys, not really statues or anything like that. They might have some PVC gallery, diamond select stuff. They have a small key wall, and that's where I found this book. It was sitting up there on the top shelf. I asked them to pull it down, and I went ahead and bought it for a really good price about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And it's just kind of been sitting in my comic book boxes. About 2 years ago, I decided to go ahead and get it graded. So I went to a local comic book shop here in San Antonio, Heroes and Fantasies, and they offer CGCing as a service. So basically what you would do is you go into that comic book shop, you tell them this is the book I want to get graded, and they would go through the same CGC paperwork that you would do online, but in person there at the shop. They package it up nice and tight for you, and they ship it off, and they're real good about keeping track of their books that go in and out. I also got this book pressed by a local vendor that they use, so that helped out the grade a little bit. But Zach had reached out on about this book, and I mentioned to him that I could probably find it, but at the same time, I also had one myself. And we just kind of worked on a deal and figured out what we wanted out of it. And that was about it. He says this is his Grail book, so I'm excited that it's going to him. And he's, from what I could tell, he's starting a whole new Miles Morales display. So it's going to make a good addition for him in his collection. It's going to look really good. That's about it, though, guys. It's a great book. I think this book is one of the first books that really projected Brian Michael Bendis' career into being a head leader of Marvel and a lot of the stuff that came after him, with a lot of the newer style characters, the younger characters. And then eventually he leaves to DC. But I think Miles Morales and Riri Williams are probably the two best additions that he's given to Marvel through these books. And yeah, that's about it. So if y'all ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to Zach and he could help you out. Thanks.